Hello again and thanks for joining. So today we've got a matchup of 3 different manufacturers who've all made these small green German passenger coaches. This one here at the front is from Fleischmann and it's made in Germany. This one, which is a 6-wheeled coach, is from Roco and it's made in Austria. And the curveball, at least for me, is this one, which is made by Lima in Italy. Now, I didn't know that Lima made these coaches until I managed to pick up this one and a baggage car. So I think it's quite interesting that they also did these German coaches. So we're going to have a look at each of these in turn and figure out which one is the best. So this is the Fleshman Coach. Now, I'm a big fan of Fleischmann stuff. It's normally pretty good. It balances price with quality. And I think this is actually looking pretty good. So this is just painted. It's a one-piece moulding of the body and the roof is integral into it. So it's been painted this silvery grey colour. Looks pretty good. It does have a moulding mark right in the middle, but we've got nice rivet detail and the vents as well. And the masking between the silver and the green is actually pretty good. Even underneath the veranda you can see where it's green, but it doesn't actually have any overspill. So the masking on this is pretty well done. Also well done is all the transfers. You can see down the side we have second class, the DB logo, and all the specifications up by the window here. We've also got a destination board here and another second class, and the printing also extends down onto the chassis. We've got additional printing in white, which is all very clear and looks pretty good. The windows are a little bit frosted up here. It could be with age, or it could be with design, but we do have these gold surrounds, and you can see the toilet window here, and also these two which have been modelled as if they're half open, and that's common on these models. You'll see it also on the Lima one, for example. At each end we've got a little veranda. A little bit of dust on these. They were second-hand models. I got all of these in a job lot. We have some more printing inside there, and we've got some nice rivet detail, and the door doesn't have any glazing though. The buffers are integral into the chassis and just made of plastic, and we have the usual Fleischmann coupling hanging out the front here, and that's articulated onto the chassis. The wheels don't revolve that well on this model, unfortunately, but they do have pickups, so you could put lights into this model quite easily. This one actually doesn't have that, but I'm guessing perhaps it was an optional you could get on these models. But looking down on the chassis, it does have a lot of nice detail underneath here. All the plank detail has got grain on it, which looks really good. And we've got all the brake gear and some boxes as well moulded in. So it all looks pretty good there. And that is also evident in the details around the springs and axle boxes and brakes. The brakes aren't in line with the wheels, but it does look actually pretty good. It's very nicely defined. And I like the steps that are coming down here as well. So it's a good opener from Fleischmann. Let's move on to the Lima one. So this is a very similar era of coach. In fact, it's got a very similar roof. But we do have a much bigger moulding mark on this one. But we do have this nice rivet detail and the air vents as well. Perhaps not quite as nicely defined as the Fleischmann one, but certainly very acceptable. It's much more silvery on top of this model. And we even have like little indents or something in the moulding just at the corners here and also here. I don't think that's by design. So on the Lima one, the roof is a separate piece which has been clipped onto the main body, which is a nice acceptable shade of green. It's a bit lighter than the Fleischmann one, but the printing also is really quite good. This time it's first class. You can see all the specification up here by this window, and the DB logo and another destination, which is exactly the same as the coach we just saw coincidentally. And we also have printing down on the chassis, which is all very clear. And also what's good is the steps, the springs, the axle boxes, and all the detail underneath. Perhaps not quite as good as the Fleischmann one. You can't see any grain on the wood, but all the wood planking is there. And we also have the brake gear as well, moulded into the bottom of the chassis. The wheels actually revolve a lot better on this model, but we do have a bit of rust on them. No provision for pickup here, and we have less movement on the couplings. At the ends, there's some detail moulded in here, which isn't really that well defined, but at least it's got some glazing, which has got also gold surrounds. And very similar to the Fleischmann one, it's a bit frosted, but you can see inside it we have an interior, which is a bit brighter than the Fleischmann one. So it's a very similar coach, and I don't think you would really notice that this was actually a different manufacturer if I hadn't told you. Anyway, let's have a look at the Roco one. So this is slightly different because it is a 6-wheel coach. But looking on top of the roof, there's not as much detail as the other 2 coaches, but it's nicely presented. No moulding mark on this one, and this is a separate piece for this roof. The body sides are a nice shade of green, and this time we've got flush fit glazing with silver surrounds. The printing is pretty good. The 2, it's okay. And we've got some details up here which aren't that well defined, and the DB logo there. No destination board on this one, and it does look pretty good with the frosting on the window of the toilet there. At the ends we've got a separate piece which has been added on, and the roller shutter there which looks pretty good in the main moulding. And we've got these little red dots for the lights and a little bit of glazing as well in these tiny windows. There's no pickup on this model, so it won't have any lighting. The buffers are just integral into the chassis, much like the other two. And we have some steps coming down, and the springs and the axle boxes look pretty good, and the brakes are in line with the wheels. Obviously this one is got a bit of movement here, so you can get around tight corners, which does compromise a little bit on the details on the chassis. And it is quite an interesting setup that Roco have got here that allows the middle wheel to move and get this around those tight corners. But we still have brake gear molded in underneath here and a couple of boxes. I do like on this axle where we've got this part added on as well, and the glazing is very clear on this one. You can see the interior, a nice brown colour as well. So overall I think this is a bit of a better model, but let's put them all on the scales and we'll see how much they weigh. So this is the Fleischmann model and it comes in at 74 grams. The Lima model, well, it's actually heavier at 81 grams. And unsurprisingly, the Roco one is the heaviest at 100 grams, but it does have that extra set of wheels. So 3 different coaches from 3 different manufacturers. Okay, the Roco is a bit of an outsider because it's got 3 axles, whereas the others have got only 2 axles. Obviously the Roco one is much better. It's got NEM sockets, for example, and it's got flush fit glazing. It's just a bit better model, but I do actually think it's a bit newer than the other 2. And talking to the other 2, you probably wouldn't notice any difference between the Fleischmann and the Lima. I'm actually quite impressed with the Lima model. It does have some limitations like the odd wave in the roof. I'm not sure if that's actually meant to be like that. And it's a bit lackluster on the ends of these coaches. But aside from that, you really wouldn't notice any difference between the 2. And when it comes to price, the Roco one is always going to be more expensive, I reckon. And then it's going to be Fleischmann, and then of course Lima, which is normally your budget option. But I think here it really stacks up against the Fleischmann. So if it comes down to price and the Lima one is significantly cheaper, I'd definitely go for that one. But overall, out of these 3, I still think the Fleischmann one is the best. I think it balances good value for money with a good level of finish and detail. However, this has taught me that Lima is actually not too bad at all. We often write them off as being just a budget brand, but I actually think they stack up with some of the more premium brands, and that's evident here. But that's just my thoughts. What do you think about these coaches? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel. I'll put these on the turntable so you can see all the way around. And thanks for checking out this video and coming with me on my adventures into model railways from the past. I'll see you on my next video.
So model trains, model worlds, choo choo, model trains, tiny worlds, choo choo. So model trains, tiny trains, model worlds, choo choo, model trains, tiny trains.